Hello and welcome to the mill. I am your host Dusty Crane, and can you believe it is the end of 2019 already, or close enough? So let's go ahead and talk about the year in review. This year began like every other year before it in terms of wondering what's next for Stonemaier Games, but this year in particular had a level of import or maybe an extra focus on it due to the fact that Jamie had announced that Scythe was done. Now, as far as my involvement with Stonemaier Games has gone, Scythe has been always there. It's been an evergreen. It's been a part of my Stonemaier experience. And so how Stonemaier was going to react or respond to life after Scythe was really what the story of 2019 was going to be. And by now, we know how that went, but let's go ahead and break it down month by month and talk about what happened with Stonemaier Games. In January 2019 was, can you believe it, Wingspan. It was just this year. Wingspan went on sale January 2nd through the 9th, the 8th, 2nd through the 8th. And according to the Stonemaier newsletter, Jamie anticipated 3 new titles this year. He expected Wingspan, Codenames Clay, and Codenames Sand. Now, Sand didn't see 2019, but Clay did. We'll get to that one later. But he also expected 3 expansions, and that was the expansion for Euphoria. He'd already planned for Wingspan's first expansion, and then also the Scythe modular board, which isn't really an expansion, more of an accessory, but still, that was going to mark the official end of Scythe with Stonemaier. And then who can forget Wingspan Typogate? That is where the first edition of Wingspan, and actually the second, and I think into the third, possibly even to the 4th printing of Wingspan, there was some unfortunate typos in terms of there was some artwork that was placed on 2 cards instead of 1. I think Cassin's Finch and Cassin's Sparrow, I believe, were misrepresented by the art, one of the 2. Who can forget the betweens, the extra E's in between? And there was a few different typos here or there, but Jamie made good on it by providing a fix kit available for really no cost. I think it was a penny and then shipping, but he also made it available through other partners in the region. So if you were already ordering from them, you could just go ahead and add it to your order and ship that at just as a part of your regular order. So Typogate, yeah, that was a thing. Moving into February, Euphoria Ignorance is Bliss, the long-awaited expansion for Euphoria, Build a Better Dystopia. The pre-orders began for that on February 27th and ran through March 2nd. Jamie surprised us all with a re-release of the original Euphoria. This wasn't a second edition, but he did include a nice Game Trays custom insert in the box, and also made a board available. Now, if you picked up Euphoria Ignorance is Bliss, you know that there's stickers that you can apply to the regular game board that had, like, the part of the expansion was new starting positions based on player count. Well, Jamie just went ahead and made a new board available that would, that just already had those sticker placements already just built into the art on the board. So that was something that was available. The Stonemaier Champions program turned a year old, and still a part of the news was Wingspan availability, or rather lack thereof. It actually, so much feedback about the availability of Wingspan that it drove Jamie to the Stonemaier blogs to write an open letter to retailers and distributors, and just kind of explained a little bit of what happened, took the blame, but furthermore just kind of made mention that, really casting blame doesn't really help anyone. But that was February in a nutshell. March 2019, Wingspan's worldwide release date is March 8th, 2019, and it's still difficult to find. This is going to be a trend throughout most of the year, unfortunately, or fortunately, I guess, if you're really looking out for Stonemaier itself and you're like, hey, I want this company to succeed, it's good that they have a product on the shelf that is really in demand and actually caught the attention of non-traditional board game press, and that was certainly a part of these shortages. However, it did, again, send Jamie to the blogs to write a post, Wingspan release day, an apology and an explanation in which he just kind of explains what happened with the copies that were available, and immediately, the first printing was sold out, and then the second printing was already being printed before even the pre-orders began. I think Jamie saw early on, before the pre-orders, but after the original order for the first printing, that demand was going to be there, and it was going to garner attention he didn't expect. And so that was all part of the blog post. Codename Sand, officially, according to the newsletter, fell off of the not the work in progress, but actually it is the work in progress. The graphic that shows what you can expect from this year, what Stonemeier's working on, that fell from 2019 to 2020. So it was something to look forward to next year. Jamie, in trying to do right by the people that are looking for copies of Wingspan, there's two ways to get, merchandise from China, and that is on a slow boat or air freight. Air freight's much more expensive than that boat, and Jamie made it was either the second or the third printing available to people via the air freight method, rather. And all he asked was help. It's going to cost a little bit more because air freighting costs a little bit more, but you've been waiting for the title. I want to provide a means for you to get there or get that. And people jumped on board, but of course that was just one more thing that kind of upset some people. It could just be vocal detractors in BGG or whatever, but there were some people that really didn't like the fact that Jamie charged extra for Wingspan, despite the fact that there was extra cost in getting those copies there when they did. So that was kind of the highlight of March. April 2019, Stonemaier Games makes their card templates available. So if you ever wanted to make a Scythe card or a Viticulture Visitor or any of the other card types that are a part of Stonemaier Games, you could go ahead and download that zip file and create custom content to your heart's content. April, however, also brought about Amazon Gate. Who can forget? Wingspan is still, in April, hard to come by. Jamie makes offers to different distributors and says, hey, if you want to pay for a print run of one of my games, you can go ahead and fund it outright and you get it. And that's exactly what happened with the fourth printing of Wingspan. Was a distributor called the Flat River Group, bought the entire fourth print run. They paid for it in advance, and the Flat River sells to Amazon.com, Walmart.com, and Target.com. I think are their big customers. And so friendly local game stores were still having a hard time getting Wingspan from distributors, and here was a massive shipment that was all pretty much ended up in Amazon's web store. And that, of course, caused a lot of hurt feelings, that people thought that maybe Jamie himself was selling the games through Amazon. Of course, that wasn't exactly what happened. And Jamie, again, went to the Stonemaier blogs to explain exactly what I just mentioned to you. But that was another kind of one of those difficulties in 2019 that Stonemaier Games had to work through. But if you are a fan of digital games, there was a couple of big announcements in April, and that was Dazoo Games announced that they were working on a digital full AI version of Between Two Castles of Mad King Ludwig, and Acrim Digital announced that they were working on a digital full AI version of Charterstone. May 2019 is actually May 2019 that Jamie went to the Stonemaier blogs to talk about Amazon Gate, but May was also the month that we got the Scythe modular board. That was the final planned product for Scythe, and my heart broke right open at the idea that Scythe would no longer be getting new content. But Scythe Digital got some new content. May was also the month that Invaders from Afar joined Scythe Digital Edition, bringing Clan Albion and Tagawa along with them. Stonemaier Games also sold the Realistic Resources line that product line right to Top Shelf Gamer. Originally, it was kind of a collaboration between the two, but Stonemaier went ahead and sold the entire thing to them. And May brought us a new code name. We also got codename Gold added to the works in progress list. June 2019, the Audubon Center at the Riverlands in St. Louis planned on hosting a Wingspan event, an event that was planned for June 22nd. Did I just say that? Anyway, the event cost $10 a person. It was meant to teach you Wingspan. It also provided a $10 voucher towards a purchase of Wingspan if you wanted to buy a copy, which was still hard to come by in June. Like I said, this is a trend that continues for a while. The event, though, had to be moved to the Old Bakery Brewing Company due to flooding in the Riverlands Arena, but I understand the event was still a huge hit. It was still a very good time. June also marked the beginning of Jamie taking his Facebook live videos that he normally does on Wednesdays, his live chats with the community, and actually after the fact making them available on YouTube, so people that aren't using Facebook can still find out what Jamie's been talking about on those Facebook live streams. It was also... I really debated whether or not to bring this one up because it's Stonemaier related only in that Jamie and Stonemaier are so, interlinked, and Jamie talks about it in Stonemaier content, so I guess it's fair game. But June 2019 is the month that Jamie came forward with his relationship with Megan, brought that public, and that has continued to be something that he's talked about and has probably enriched his life and experiences since then. So June 2019, put that one in the books. July 2019, Wingspan won the 2019 Kennerspiel des Jahres. So the Expert Game Award for the European... French, German, I should know this, but it is what it is. Anyway, a huge win for Elizabeth, a huge win for Stonemaier Games. I know Jamie was just thrilled. It was huge for Stonemaier Games. Like I said, when we were talking about earlier, what is coming that is going to be a significant contributor to Stonemaier Games with Scythe gone. And I think this win just kind of solidified the fact that Wingspan was a very huge deal. I mean, we knew it with the shortages and it being hard to come by and the volumes it was doing and how it was embraced by non-traditional board gamers. But still, like I said, this win I think was just kind of huge to really drive that home and say, listen, the House of Scythe is going to be okay. It's going to be okay. July 26th also saw the retail release of the Scythe modular board. August 2019, codename Clay is revealed to be Tapestry. Tapestry was announced early in August and wasn't going to go on pre-sale until the following month, but that also brought along with it, Jamie decided to go ahead and let at a certain point, let reviewers that had copies of the game to go ahead and share whatever they wanted about the game except their opinion. They could share pictures or unboxings or videos or whatever they wanted to, short of offering their opinion. Now, the opinion was allowed to be posted after the pre-orders opened. And so this led some people to coin the phrase review gate, because everything needs a gate nowadays, or review embargo gate, because the reviews themselves were embargoed up until a certain time. Now, Jamie explained that this is so that somebody really close to St. Louis gets a copy of the game. They don't rush to get their content up before someone else, because that's naturally in the game of YouTube. It's the first to the story, or the first person who has this in-demand thing, their views and go through the roof. I mean, it's if it's in demand and you're the only person that has it, you get the views, and obviously the first person to have it, there's a huge advantage to being first. Anyway, so Jamie wanted to avoid people rushing to get those opinions out, and said, hey, please, we'll go ahead and make those available. And they were. as soon as the pre-orders were available or open for Tapestry, those opinion pieces were available. We'll get to that in just a minute. Jamie, in this month of August, also produced a brief history of Stonemaier games, which was actually really fascinating and clocks in at almost an hour. So it's not necessarily brief, but super, super interesting if you like behind the scenes and like kind of seeing how the company has come up through the years. It's a really good watch. Finally, another good month for digital release announcements. Digidiced announced that they are working on a digital full AI version of Viticulture, and Monster Couch announced that they're working on a full digital AI version of Wingspan. So a couple more devices a couple more games for your gaming devices in terms of, in this case, probably start at PC on Steam, work their way out to other things, but certainly something to look forward to. So September 2019, we got into, like I said, that review embargo gate. The reviews were allowed to be posted when the sales went on or opened. And so people, the window that Jamie gave for the pre-orders was September 4th to September 9th. And so the thing that people were told all along is like, listen, you got a little bit of time. You got a window for the pre-order. You can watch the reviews of the people who the reviewers you like that have share similar opinions. You got a little bit of time. But yeah, Tapestry, the pre-orders would only last about 32 hours. They sold out after that. Jamie, this time, with Wingspan, he kind of got a little bit burnt in terms of making, a bunch of copies of Wingspan available to his own pre-orders, and then retailers and distributors and Jamie only sells to distributors, but the distributors got less, and so trying to kind of take that situation out of the equation, he went ahead and said, we're going to sell a limited number of Tapestry, and we're not going to say how many, but we're going to sell a limited number of Tapestry. The rest is going to go to distributors so that the friendly local game stores will have enough for them. However, it's saying that you have 4 days to buy a game and watch reviews, and then it's selling out in 32 hours, left, kind of a bad taste in some people's mouth, and with Wingspan still being a little bit difficult to come by, it brought Jamie to the Stonemaier blogs once again to write, "Damned if I do and damned if I don't?" ? And Jamie explained those things I just mentioned to you. Here's how he handled Wingspan, here's how he handled Tapestry. Tried to explain, why he did what he did and the lessons he learned from this, but ultimately, posted a question at the end of his blog post and said, which way do you prefer it? Do you prefer the Wingspan version where I just sell an unlimited number for a very short period of time, or do you prefer the Tapestry method where I sell a finite version over a short period of time? As you can imagine, most people preferred, I want to be able to get it available from you during that pre-order window. The poll, when I checked, was about 2,100-ish in favor of the Wingspan version, and the Tapestry version having about 1,200-ish votes. Finally, let's see here. The Scythe metal mechs made their way back to the shop. So if you were hoping, or if you missed them the first time around, or weren't able to get those rings, the neoprene, I don't know, whatever that material was that the snap onto the bottom, the color rings for the mechs, or if you just wanted another set, if you didn't go all in the first time around, those were available second printing. And September 22nd was also the Stonemaier Design Day in Pieces Game Cafe in St. Louis. October 2019 was a huge month for Stonemaier games. It was the announcement of the first expansion for Wingspan, the European expansion. The pre-order would be open to everyone on November 6th, but the worldwide retail release was November 22nd. And for that reason, Jamie had said, unless you're a Stonemaier champion that would like to utilize your Stonemaier champion benefit of the discounted shipping, then just go ahead and order from your friendly local game store, because there was a very short window, like I mentioned. These things were probably gonna. I think the original plan was for them to start going out to champions on the 11th, and then the worldwide release was on the 22nd. So basically, while he was taking pre-orders from us, copies were also going to distributors to be sent out to retailers, so that there wasn't going to be the same issues as in the past. Furthermore, Jamie wasn't going to have the whole review embargo gate be a topic of conversation either. So basically, he told reviewers, it basically just gave him free reign. Hey, once you get it, do what you want with it. You want to post a review, an unboxing, show what's in it, and go for it. So we knew what was in the box well in advance. I shouldn't say that we had free reign to post whatever we want whenever we wanted. Jamie wanted to go ahead and show things piece by piece by piece, but once he was done and provided the full rule book, it was, hey, go nuts, post what you want. So Wingspan, you already knew what you were getting, really, because that game has been available for a little bit. So the expansion was more good stuff in terms of more bonus tiles, more bird cards from the European continent, more eggs. So just more of the stuff that you already know you enjoy. Jamie also announced the Swift Start guide, and what that was all new copies of Wingspan going forward will have the Swift Start guide in there. And it's basically just a few sheets of paper, I think it's 4, and some promo bird cards. And what it does is it walks somebody through, somebody who isn't traditionally a board gamer, walks them through step by step by step how they would take their turns. And so it might say something like, go ahead and move your action token here, choose play a bird card, pay the cost, put this bird down on your mat in the woodlands or the forest, and then proceed on to your next turn. And it walked each individual player through their first several turns. Now, for some people, that is a big quality of life thing, because like I'd mentioned before, Wingspan took off way beyond expectations into non-traditional gamer areas. And so for some people, even a game like Wingspan, if you're a heavy Euro gamer, you're like, this game is easy, I got it right away, no problem, I can explain it to anybody. But if you're not used to that, if you're used to roll and moves, or your ideas of games are like Monopoly or Clue or something like that, or card games, this having multiple options, a turn can be a bit much. So this just nicely walks people through, and if you already have a copy of Wingspan, this was a promo that was made available in the store. Along with that quick start promo, Jamie also listened to the masses and who wanted neoprene mats for their player mats, and made those as well. Now that comes with a little bit of a story. When Jamie first posted the mats out on his shop, it wasn't intended for sale, but he actually made them available for sale, and it still had the wrong price of about 50% off. And somebody noticed, and the sales started going through before he realized it and stopped it. Now, he was well within his rights to just say, listen, it was a mistake, that wasn't the right price, it wasn't the right time. But he went ahead and honored it, and he said, all right, listen, you paid for it, I'm going to go ahead and ship it out right now. And this was still 3 weeks or so before the sale of it was expected to go on, before the Wingspan expansion was going to go up for sale. So those mats, he went ahead and shipped them right away instead of waiting. Now, that kind of, I'm not going to say it bit him, because it's good that we found out ahead of time, but those mats, due to a printing error, actually were 5% too small. And so what Jamie did is he actually made those mats when the pre-orders for the Wingspan expansion opened. He said, all right, listen, I'm going to go ahead and just keep the price at what it was accidentally sold for before, which, like I said, was 50% off. I'm going to go ahead and make these available. We will make these mats the right size, and we'll sell them. It's probably going to be February, I think was the last that I heard. But in the meantime, it's only a 5% too small. Unless you're sleeving your cards, it fits. It's tight fit, but it'll work. So he made those available for half price. Let's see what else October had. October was also when we found out about a company named Crikey had worked on a Wingspan-inspired augmented reality app along the same vein of Pokemon Go. So I guess the idea is you're holding up your phone and your camera and you're seeing the regular, world that you're used to seeing through your camera. And there's a bird or something that you might be able to feed them a certain type of food that you've collected, maybe by walking. I haven't actually used this one myself, but then you can add that bird to your aviary, I think is the idea. But that was a collaboration between a few different companies or foundations and Stonemaier Games to be able to use the Wingspan artwork. That's just beautiful. Let's see here. This October is also the month that the second expansion for Wingspan was officially announced. Still no word on what area that is going to cover, what part of the world, but it's definitely a work in progress. November 2019 was another big month for Stonemaier Games. Of course, that was the retail release date of Tapestry was November 1st. The Wingspan European expansion had a worldwide release date of November 22nd. The pre-orders actually took place on November 6th and started shipping out to Champions, I think, on the 11th. So big clump of game stuff right there. Jamie announced that he is no longer the only full-time employee at Stonemaier Games. He went ahead and hired some help. Full-time employee number 2 is Joe Aubrey, and Joe starts full-time January 1st. If you have any questions that you don't want to bother Jamie with, Joe may be the guy that you can just go ahead and ask him and get your answer from official Stonemaier staff without bugging Jamie. November was, I say bugging, it's not a bad thing. If you got questions for Jamie, email Jamie. You got something that Joe can answer, email Joe. That's what he's there for. November also brought about the annual Stonemaier charity auction. This is something I got to participate in last year. This year the prize was a custom copy of Wingspan with you getting to choose the art on the cover in all 4 corners of the box. Super cool prize. Elizabeth autographed them. Jamie tossed in the European expansion, and MeepleSource actually provided a full upgrade kit. Fulfill Right, a company offered to match the highest winning bid among the auction. Stonemaier Games also matched bids. All told, Stonemaier Games this year raised $14,001 for charity, which is a super cool thing, which is, of course, not just thanks to them, but thanks to everyone who participated in that auction and won that auction. It went to great causes that social media people that Jamie enjoys, places that they chose, charities they chose, some great causes there. Stonemaier also made a 1-minute demographic survey available during that time of that auction and said, for everyone who filled it out, I will donate $1 to the Cornell Lab of Ornithology. That's that word again. It caught me a few episodes back. But that resulted in a nice donation of $853 there. Dazu Games actually did release their Between Two Castles of Mad King Ludwig game on Steam on November 15th. If you haven't had a chance to check that out yet, I recommend it. It still has a few little things I think that they need to work through in terms of like play order, but it's a great adaptation. And if you don't get Between Two Castles to the table as much as you would like, it's a great way to do that. I've enjoyed my plays of the game. Finally, in November, Stonemaier ambassador Joshua Heiser has started to take Jamie's Wednesday Facebook Live chats and his Sunday sit-downs and make them available in podcast form. So if you aren't interested in watching a YouTube video or you just can't, if you want it in podcast form, Joshua's been doing that for us, and it's been great. I drive a lot with my job. I'm in the car quite a bit, so having that podcast available has been terrific. Thanks, Joshua. That brings us through, finally, one more thing in November. November brought us the first balance changes for Tapestry. So, November 2019, half of the civilizations got a little bit of a tweak, whether it was at setup or when it was, when you got it later in the game. Some of them were only at setup changes. The other half were left alone, but Some changes were more significant than others. Some you might have lost a resource, or maybe you gained a couple of resources. Then another one, I think, was either additional 15 VP per opponent or minus 15 VP per opponent. I think it was minus. But so there were some changes to that setup, and that was all due to the fact that Jamie made a survey available on the Stonemaier blog or on the Stonemaier website to say who won, what was the score, record very minimal information, but it helped make a big difference in that balance. And I think some people have a certain way that they expect balancing to be done, but most of the people that I've seen play with the changes have been, pretty positive about them. Finally, December 2019, it's kind of quieting down, we're at the end of the year. It's time to reflect. It's still business as usual. Jamie did tease us on Facebook a little bit, and he said, listen, I'm done with Scythe. Scythe is done. But if I did revisit Scythe, what kind of game would you like? And the crowd went wild, as you would expect. And I'd mentioned in a couple videos back that Deck Builder was kind of the direction that was chosen. But in terms of actually hard Stonemaier news, nothing yet in December. I don't think there's even going to be a Facebook live chat next week. I think Jamie said there's not, people are going to be gone for the holidays. He wasn't sure if he was going to do it. So that may be the last we hear from Stonemaier in December. But if something breaks, I'll talk about it on the show next week. Speaking of next week, I think we'll probably looking forward to 2020 and, just seeing what is in store for us next. That is it for the year 2019. I appreciate you hanging out with me here and talking through the year. If I missed anything big, please let me know. For me, I kind of looked at 2019 as kind of a year of growth and growing pains and all that comes along with those new experiences. Certainly going from Scythe going away, which I think has been this evergreen beast, to Wingspan showing up and hitting the scene like it did and just blowing away, I think, most people's expectations. It's certainly an excellent problem to have. How do I provide, what these people want as it relates to this new product? And so there's been some hiccups along the way in terms of how to get this product to the people. And I think that's probably compounded with the Stonemaier Champion program that, a lot of people join because they want to get it early or because of the shipping benefit. And, so Jamie has more people ordering directly from him than ever before. So it's not just a matter of, I have to get this product to distributors. It's, I have to get this product for me and also for distributors. And there's a whole lot of, just moving pieces, and I think learning the lesson with Tapestry and Wingspan. So Wingspan being that unlimited availability, and then there wasn't much for, distributors. And then Tapestry where, trying to be fair, made a finite number available to us direct orders, and then making more available to distributors, but then the pre-order selling out well in advance of the pre-order window. And then with by the time we get to Wingspan European expansion, he's kind of just said, listen, it's while supplies last, the pre-order starts this date. And I think that's the right way to go about it because, as I said at the time, I think that kind of puts the onus on us. If we're interested in this product, we know there's only a limited number and we don't know how long we have to get it. So if it's something that's important to you, that this is your type of thing, and the interest is there, then maybe you just go ahead and bite the bullet and you get there early and you just, fingers crossed that you enjoy what you got, or you just say, or you be patient and you say, I'll wait for reviews, I'll wait for it to become widely available, and then I'll go ahead and jump in. But I do think that open-ended, order window is the right way to go about it. While supplies last, I think we'll see if that continues into 2020. I do think it worked out well. I think that's an honest way to kind of serve both groups. There is you're not saying you have 4 days. Overall, I think it's a good thing. And then obviously with the growth and adding Joe to the team, I think that is a net positive. I think if you're paying attention, I'd mentioned back in June when Jamie brought his relationship public and introduced Megan. I think you've seen that Jamie's priorities have shifted a little bit. I think healthy shift. First off, it used to be that you could get Jamie, it seemed like any time of day, that it was like if you had a question at 2 a.m. and tagged him, you'd get an answer. And it just felt like Jamie was going to work himself into an early grave. So I think Megan's been a really good influence on him in terms of helping him prioritize and saying, yes, Stonemaier Games is still very, very important to me. It's something that, I really care about, but I have to take time for myself and for Megan, for my relationship, for these other things in life that matter, that it's not just all work. I think that was, I try and close the show with be good to yourself and be good to others. And I think that is kind of like a healthy example of that, where, Jamie's not just at the end of his days, however long they may be, that he's like, I just worked 80 hours a week until I didn't. And, I think this is a good thing. So I think Joe is going to be a good addition to Stonemaier, help take some of that weight off of Jamie's shoulders so he can maintain that work-life balance where he has, he's still able to have time for the customers, for taking care of us, for development, and then also having time for his personal life. So 2019, I'm definitely summing this year up with growth, and Growing Pains fits into that. So I'm really looking forward to 2020. I'm excited. I think we have, in terms of games that are coming down the chute. I almost jumped right into next week's video. I don't want to do that. Let's talk about 2020 next week, shall we? Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you guys later. Take care of yourselves and each other.